I'm in conversation with a longtime basketball friend. We're very friendly on the courts, off the courts, and he is consumed with the ideology of the left today, and he's not even the furthest gone wackadoodle that is out there. But everything that he espouses comes from leftist indoctrination and propaganda. So when he originally stated that the shooter of Charlie Kirk was a Groyper, he promised to publicly apologize if he was wrong. Now, of course, after shifting to Israel, he has not done so. I'm wondering how we can possibly overcome the massive divide in America because we are getting our information from completely different sources and making our judgments based on the information that we receive. So it's, as Scott Adams says, one movie, we see the same event, two screens. And the dialogue, what we're hearing, is being filtered by our preset social media settings, by our interests. That which we consume, we get more of to keep us on the platform. And thus, we immerse ourselves semi-intentionally into an echo chamber. And thus, when one narrative fails that the left is trying to propagandize, they move on to the next, which is Israel, which is grifting, because makes no logical sense that Israel would try to assassinate using some trans furry who's basically admitted to it and not have a sniper on his escape route to take him out. It just doesn't add up. Why would this country that makes James Bond look like a drunk uncle at Thanksgiving dinner, tripping over a chair and into the turkey with everything that they did with Hezbollah and the pagers, they wouldn't do it in this way, even if they were to do it. But this is the consumption of media and propaganda that is being given to one side of the aisle. Now, maybe I immerse myself in my echo chamber, but at least I try to understand where the other side is coming from. And I'm completely mystified by it because it makes no sense. But then once they're immersed, they're taught that these people are fascists, that the ICE are Gestapo, that it's Hitler and Pol Pot. And that comes out in Jay Jones, who's running for Attorney General. He states that he fantasizes about assassinating and using a bullet to put in the head of his political opponent Gilbert, as well as the children. This is what the Democrats are fantasizing about. They've been completely psyoped into believing that the other side is evil. And then with my friend, I think that he's misguided. I don't think that he's a bad person, but all that I get in return is that I'm in some Christian nationalist cult. And thus the othering begins. I'm trying to talk about facts, about what makes logical sense. And he doesn't really want to seem to deal with that. He wants me to consume all the conspiracy theories that turn out to be wrong. He insisted to me that on January 6th, that police officers were killed. False. Incongruent with the truth. Not factual. Police officer Brian Sicknick died several days later of a stroke, not being hit over the head with a fire extinguisher. But this is what he wants me to believe. And when I corrected on him, he changes the goalposts to the fact that maybe this had something to do with their death, the stress of the day. It's inconceivable to me how these people think. But I don't even know if I can necessarily blame him per se, because once again, it's the indoctrination that the social media game is designed to give us because they want greater numbers of interactions, which is how they make their money. So of course, they're just going to keep feeding you your preconceived notions. And it's a rare person, maybe you out there, that will be able to break free from this stranglehold of the stream of BS lies that they are intentionally throwing at you. And for some reason, they think that it's people on the right that are propagandized. So again, we've got one movie, two screens, the same event, completely different reactions to it. So how do we come together as a nation? It seems like social media has completely undone us as a cohesive people that share similar values, that think similar things. I don't know if it was better when we were being propagandized under David Brinkley and we received the nightly news from the same three sources and didn't really know what was going on. And yes, we had the CIA and the deep state building and building and building until today they have total control over so much that goes on in this world and in our nation, including the 2020 election, which they managed to manipulate, for example, by censoring the Hunter Biden laptop story, insisting that it was Russian disinformation. And now that people have caught on more and more that they've been lying to us, that they've been using their power as the deep state to censor and control minds, there's a certain number of people that are breaking out and a certain number of people that have been fed the idea that anybody that dares to go against the narrative, whether it's COVID, are vaccine deniers, skeptics, and should be ostracized from society. You have some of their priests like Jimmy Kimmel saying, hey, I don't know, if you have a heart attack and you're vaccinated, step right up. Hey, if you're not, if you're unvaccinated, well, so long, wheezy. Paraphrasing. But this is the propaganda that they're getting over and over again. How do we break free? How do you possibly communicate with somebody that thinks that you're the enemy, that when you point out facts that they stated are incorrect, they promised an apology, they don't apologize for it? It's very difficult. It's very difficult. I want to be able to communicate with these people. I want them to rise up from the state where they think that it's okay to kill the other side. For example, over 50% of Democrats believe that it's perfectly acceptable to kill Donald Trump, or even Elon Musk is 50-50. For what? What did Elon do to anybody except for make a great car and take us into outer space? Oh my God, he tried to cut fat from the federal government. That makes it okay to kill him. And this is echoed in Jay Jones's tweets from 2022 it was. And yes, that was a little while ago, but you can just imagine how much more this vicious mindset has fermented, shall we say, today. That alcohol that's going to drive people crazy is at another level. And we as a nation are just so separated. It's a national divorce, and this is going to lead to more and more violence. This is leading to civil war. When you take out Charlie Kirk, who's out there doing his best to bridge the divide, to talk, to debate, and then they shoot him, and then they try to say, well, both sides need to tone it down. What they're saying is the other side, the right side, the Republican side, however you want to term it, the centrists just need to shut up and swallow exactly the edicts that we are dictating to you and kneel before us, before we put the boot on your head as they did during COVID. And they are promising that they're going to do it again if they get elected. Just imagine where we'd be if Kamala was in charge. And here you have Donald Trump, the elected leader of the United States, using his mandate, his popular vote victory to enact changes that the American people voted for. And there's an insurrection in Oregon to prevent him from doing so. The police are siding with Antifa. They are the enforcers of Antifa, who are the enforcers of the Democrat Party, except that the Democrats don't have to tell them what to do. They're doing exactly. These little foot soldiers are destroying the opportunity that we have to mitigate the invasion over the southern border. 10 million people that poured over during Biden's administration. They promised us that they needed a bill that would allow 5,000 people a day in before anything kicked in. And Donald Trump got it solved in 2 months and did not have to get anything passed by Congress, to the point where we have near zero illegals streaming over our border because of the incentives offered. It's very simple to solve it, but they pretend that they can't solve it. They pretend that it's not happening, that it's not their fault, that they're gaslighting you, and yet they foment this violence by over and over describing Trump as Hitler, as the Gestapo. And then you wonder why people are shooting at Charlie Kirk, at ICE, as they're trying to do their job, hitting detainees. The detainees do not deserve death. Many of them are here seeking a better life. If they deserve to be deported, they don't deserve death, but that is what they get from the violent left. So when Steven Crowder goes on his new tour and says the left is violent, prove me wrong, he's right. It's not coming from the right side today, but it will. And that's the problem, because eventually you push people so far and somebody's going to take a gun and slaughter Ilhan Omar and Elizabeth Warren. These are not good people. But we don't settle our differences using a gun. But if you force us to defend ourselves, then it will precipitate a civil war. And that's what we're trying to avoid. Yet the non-ending stream of BS that continues to come from Democrat politicians calling Stephen Miller a fascist after what happened to Charlie Kirk is not something that we will accept an apology for. There have to be repercussions, and if it's not done at the ballot box, and we have a nation that's so divided that they want to elect, for example, Jay Jones, Attorney General of Virginia, after what he stated, after what he's demonstrated is in his heart, after what the left has done over and over again, and then tell you that the right are the violent ones, well, we don't have a nation anymore. And I really want to know your thoughts, because I know that I'm just kind of ranting here, but I want something better for my country. I'm proud to be an American, and as somebody who's lived in 7 countries and traveled to 60, I've seen a lot more of the world than the majority of people, and you have no idea how lucky you are and how grateful you should be to have been born into the most prosperous and one of the safer countries on the planet. At least it was safe until they allowed crime to go non-stop without consequences in all of the blue states. And then they're trying to tell you that the Republicans are the evil ones as they release criminals over and over again. And then they go and stab a Ukrainian girl on the train in Charlotte after being released 14 times. And he brags, I got that white girl. I got that white girl. Look, sorry, rant over. But please, goodness gracious, tell me what we should do. How can we communicate with, for example, my basketball buddy that I mentioned earlier? How do we do it? I really want to know. Peace and blessings to everybody out there.